Welcome to today's deep dive. We are really thrilled to have you with us today
Yeah, glad you're here.
because today we're looking at what happens when the total unpredictability of live sports just completely breaks down a team's mental focus.
Right.
We're zooming in specifically on the March 3, 2026 SEC basketball matchup.
Oh, yeah.
This was the number 16 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide taking on the Georgia Bulldogs.
Down at Steedman Coliseum.
Exactly, over in Athens. And it's a fascinating study in human psychology.
It really is. It's honestly a perfect case study in momentum, mental fatigue, and just how an environment can completely turn against you.
Totally.
And to put this all together for you today, we're pulling from a pretty dynamic stack of sources.
Well, we've got some great stuff.
Yeah, we have minute-by-minute, live, on-the-ground updates from inside the arena as the whole thing unfolded. And we're pairing those with a detailed pregame analysis article that heavily focuses on the mindset of Alabama's head coach.
Ada?
Right, Nate Oates. When you combine what the coach knew before the game with what actually happened on the court, this really compelling narrative emerges.
It does. And to really set the scene for you, I want you to imagine this scenario.
Okay.
Just imagine your absolute favorite basketball team is riding high. Like they are on a massive 8-game win streak.
The dream scenario.
Right. They're coming off this incredibly emotional, epic comeback victory against a top-tier ranked rival.
High stakes.
And just looming on the horizon in a few days is an even bigger, fiercer rivalry game.
Yeah.
So what happens to that unglamorous midweek game sandwiched right in the middle?
You get a trap game.
You get what the sports world universally calls a trap game. Now add in a hostile road environment, an opposing player who just steps out of the shadows to have a career night, and a genuinely bizarre arena technical malfunction.
Which we will get to, yeah.
Oh, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
And you just have the perfect storm for an upset. Okay, let's unpack this, because we need to look at the anatomy of exactly how this trap was set.
Yeah, the setup here is totally crucial to understanding everything that follows.
Right.
Coming into this Tuesday night game, Alabama is sitting at an impressive 22-7.
Great record.
They've already locked down a top 4 seed in the SEC tournament, and they are actively pushing to earn that highly coveted number 2 seat.
Right. And they're fighting for NCAA tournament placement, too.
Exactly. So on paper, there is a lot to play for. The stakes are tangibly high. But emotionally,
Oh, man.
they have just been through an absolute grinder.
Let's talk about that grinder, because just days prior, on February 28th, Alabama pulled off this monumental 71-69 win over the number 22 ranked Tennessee Volunteers.
A huge win.
And it wasn't just a standard win. They erased a mountainous 13-point deficit.
Yeah, they had to fight for every inch.
Latrell Wrightsell Jr. drops 25 points.
Wow.
LeBaron Philon Jr. hits the game-winning shot with less than 23 seconds left on the clock.
Incredible finish.
And get this, it was the first time they led that entire game. Right. It takes a massive physical and emotional toll to pull off a comeback like that. And waiting for them on the coming Saturday. Their massive in-state rival, Auburn.
Which brings us to the concept of the trap game. For you listening, trying to visualize this, think of it like your own academic or professional life. It's like studying relentlessly for a massive, heavily weighted final exam on a Friday, but completely forgetting that you have a mandatory pop quiz on Wednesday.
Oh, that's the worst feeling.
Right. All your mental energy is split between recovering from the last major hurdle and anticipating the next giant one. The midweek task just feels like a formality you have to physically show up for.
But wait, I have to ask.
Sure.
If Alabama is a team of elite, highly trained athletes, how do they just ignore the opponent right in front of them?
It's a fair question.
I mean, is it really just physical exhaustion from the Tennessee game, or is there something deeper happening in their heads?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to look at Alabama's head coach, Nate Oates, because he was completely aware of this psychological trap, and he knew it wasn't just about tired legs.
Interesting.
In behavioral science, there's a concept similar to an adrenaline hangover.
An adrenaline hangover.
Yeah. When you achieve a massive goal, like erasing a 13-point deficit against a ranked rival, your brain experiences a massive dopamine dump.
Right, you get that huge rush.
Exactly. And the natural physiological response afterward is to exhale and relax.
Ah.
Oates practically begged his team not to exhale yet. In his pregame press conference, he explicitly warned his team about the danger of looking past Georgia.
And he even brought the receipts, right? Like, he pointed out that they had already failed this exact test of maturity twice earlier in the season.
He did. The historical context he provided is super fascinating. Oates noted that their biggest wins of the year had been against St. John's, Tennessee on the road, and Illinois.
All tough games.
Very. But look at the pattern. After they beat St. John's, they immediately dropped a game to Purdue.
Wow.
After they beat Illinois, they immediately lost to Gonzaga.
A clear trend.
Human psychology just makes it incredibly difficult to maintain focus and peak emotional intensity after experiencing extreme highs. He called them out directly.
Did he really?
Yeah, he said an immature team would skip the Georgia game mentally.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second, though.
Go for it.
Even with an adrenaline hangover, Georgia wasn't exactly a top 10 juggernaut.
True.
I mean, they were sitting at 20-9 overall, 8-8 in the SEC. They had just shaken off a midweek loss to Vanderbilt. Why was Nate Oates so incredibly worried about this specific matchup?
Because Georgia was coming off an 87-68 crushing of South Carolina.
Okay.
And they had a specific style of play that punishes mentally fatigued teams. Oates warned that Georgia plays fast, they have great athletes, and they would absolutely test Alabama's transition defense.
Meaning their ability to sprint back on defense immediately after a missed shot or a turnover to prevent an easy fast break.
Exactly. He literally said you can't come into this game still high off the Tennessee game and have any chance to win.
So the stage is completely set. The warnings have been issued. The coach knows exactly what his team is vulnerable to.
Yep.
The question then becomes, how does a team respond to that warning in real time? Which leads us right into the first half of the game.
Where things start to unravel.
Right, where we start to see the warning signs mutate into a very harsh reality. But ironically, the pregame vibes actually seemed pretty positive for Alabama.
They really did. During warm-ups, the student section at Stegeman Coliseum was full and loud, even if the rest of the arena was a bit sparse to start.
Right.
Alabama was out there in their traditional all-crimson road uniforms. There was this moment where Aiden Holloway threw a thundering alley-oop to Jalil Bethia.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, everything looked loose. Former Georgia head football coach Mark Richt was even in the building taking it all in.
But the moment the officials Doug Shows, Steven Anderson, and Rob Rourke tipped off the ball, Alabama looked entirely out of sync.
Completely.
It was almost jarring how quickly the tone shifted.
The literal first play of the game was a bad omen. Georgia wins the opening tip, and immediately a careless pass from Alabama leads to a breakaway basket for the Bulldogs.
Ouch.
Just like that, Georgia's up 6-0. The crowd gets incredibly loud, and Nate Oates has to immediately sub out Amari Allen for London Jemison because of that bad pass.
Oh.
It was the exact lack of mental sharpness Oates had feared and warned them about.
I really want to dig into the statistics from that first half because they are honestly staggering.
They're tough to look at.
They tell a story of a team lacking fundamental hustle. It wasn't just that Alabama was missing shots, it was the effort categories where they were getting completely dominated.
You're right, some hustle stats.
By halftime, Georgia had racked up 14 second chance points. And for you listening, second chance points mean a team is relentlessly crashing the boards, grabbing offensive rebounds off their own missed shots, and scoring.
Yeah.
Do you know how many second chance points Alabama had?
Let's hear it.
0. Absolutely none.
I really want to emphasize what a 14-0 disparity in second chance points actually looks like on a basketball court.
Right.
It is exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
It means Alabama is playing 30 seconds of tough defense, forcing a missed shot, and then instead of grabbing the rebound to end the possession, they're getting outmuscled.
The worst feeling for a defense.
The ball gets tipped out, Georgia grabs it, and Alabama has to defend all over again. It completely breaks a team spirit. And on top of that, Georgia scored 19 points off of 9 Alabama turnovers.
9 turnovers and a half, and the live updates were describing these as unforced, lazy passes or balls literally slipping right through hands.
Exactly. Those numbers are the undeniable footprint of a trap game. Turnovers and a lack of rebounding aren't usually about a lack of talent.
Right, Alabama has the talent.
They're symptoms of a wandering mind. When a shot goes up, one team is fighting tooth and nail for the loose ball, and the other team is standing around watching it happen, probably thinking about the upcoming weekend against Auburn.
You could see the frustration boiling over on the sidelines, too. Nate Oates had to call a really rare first-half timeout when they were trailing 28-20.
He had to do something.
He had to stop the bleeding because Alabama had committed 5 turnovers in just 5 minutes of game time.
Man.
Their offense was described as entirely frenzied, and it didn't stop there. Just a few minutes later, with Georgia pushing the lead, Oates actually picked up a technical foul for jawing with the officials after a missed Georgia basket.
The sideline tension was just palpable.
Totally palpable.
And while Alabama was battling their own lack of focus, they also fell victim to the other hallmark of a trap game.
Oh, the unexpected hero.
The unexpected opponent who decides to play the game of their life. For Georgia, that was Kanon Catchings.
Right.
Catchings came into this Tuesday night matchup, averaging a very respectable but modest 10.6 points per game.
But by halftime, Kanon Catchings already had 20 points. He nearly doubled his season average in just 20 minutes of basketball. The guy was completely on fire, ultimately propelling Georgia to a 50-43 lead as they sank a three-pointer right at the halftime buzzer.
Just crushing for Alabama's momentum.
Now, Alabama had players doing their best to keep them afloat. LeBaron Fallon Jr. had 14 points in the half, driving aggressively to the bucket.
Yeah, he was trying.
And guys like Aiden Sherrill and Latrell Wrightsell Jr. hit some crucial three-pointers to end scoring droughts. But defensively, it was a structural collapse.
That is the perfect way to describe it. It was a structural failure in focus. You have your head coach predicting exactly how you will lose if you aren't careful, transition defense, rebounding, and lazy turnovers.
And then you go out in the first half and execute exactly that nightmare scenario.
Exactly.
Alabama's defensive effort was entirely absent, and they found themselves in a hole on the road against a team whose confidence was rapidly skyrocketing.
Which brings us to halftime.
I have to imagine Nate Oates was absolutely peeling the paint off the locker room walls with his speech.
Oh, no doubt.
He predicted this, he warned them, and they still fell right into the trap. You would think Alabama would come out of that locker room with renewed, laser-like focus.
You would hope so.
But the early minutes of the second half proved otherwise.
The response was completely flat.
Yeah.
Georgia actually came out and scored the first 5 points, pushing their lead to 55-43.
Ugh.
The deficit just kept growing.
Yeah.
At one point, Georgia pushed their lead to its largest of the night at 64-52. They continued to dominate the offensive glass, grabbing 3 quick offensive rebounds and adding 6 more second-chance points right out of the gate.
Meanwhile, Alabama's offense just goes ice cold. They missed 6 field goals in a row at a crucial juncture where they desperately needed to cut into that double-digit lead.
It was looking grim.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Because sports are never just about what happens between the players.
No, they aren't.
Sometimes the environment itself, like the actual infrastructure of the arena, decides to intervene.
This is where the game shifts from a standard upset into pure, unpredictable chaos.
We get to about the 6-minute mark of the second half. Alabama is finally starting to mount a frantic comeback.
They're finding a rhythm.
Right. LeBaron Fallon hits a massive three-pointer to cut the Georgia lead down to 7, making it 78-72 with exactly 6 minutes and 4 seconds left on the clock.
You can feel the momentum starting to shift.
Alabama's pressing. And then suddenly, the arena clock completely malfunctions and turns off.
Unbelievable. This is a massive logistical nightmare for a college basketball game.
I can't even imagine.
A delay ensues. And it isn't just a quick reset where the referee blows a whistle and they play on. They are sitting there for a full 7 minutes of real time trying to fix these technical difficulties.
Which is incredibly funny if you think about it. It's 2026. We have advanced AI, we have incredible leaps in technology, and yet a multi-million-dollar SEC college basketball game is brought to a dead stop because someone in the arena essentially needs to unplug the router and plug it back in.
Basically, yeah.
But jokes aside, what does a 7-minute dead stop do to the psychology and the physiology of a basketball game?
It is devastating to momentum. Alabama has just hit a huge shot. They finally have the momentum. Their adrenaline is finally spiking again, and suddenly...
Suddenly, everyone is just standing around in a dark arena waiting for an IT fix.
Exactly. Physiologically, their muscles start to cool down. Psychologically, that intense tunnel vision focus you need for a comeback gets broken. You are literally standing around making small talk while technicians scramble.
The live updates actually noted that having a long break could theoretically be a good thing because Alabama had looked physically tired at times trying to fight back into it.
That's a fair point on paper.
Right, but the reality was much different. When play finally resumes after that lengthy delay, the officials announce that because of the technical difficulties, they have to finish the game without an operating shot clock.
Yeah.
The main game clock is working, but the shot clock is completely dead.
And we cannot overstate how much playing without a visual shot clock alters the rhythm of a modern basketball game.
It changes everything.
College offenses, especially a pace and space offense like Alabama's, are entirely calibrated around that visual countdown. It dictates when you pass, when you drive, and when you pull up for a shot. Not having that visual cue creates immediate hesitation.
And we saw that hesitation almost immediately after the delay.
We sure did.
Alabama's Nick Jemisin had a chance for a breakaway dunk that would have cut the lead to a single possession. It could have tied it up or brought them within one.
A huge moment.
Instead, perhaps thrown off by the weird rhythm, the lack of a clock, and the long break, he takes just a fraction of a second too long to go up and his shot gets blocked.
That block was a backbreaker. Georgia immediately runs down the other end, hits a three-pointer, and pushes the lead right back out to 78-69.
Boom.
That was the final momentum swing right there. The window for a comeback basically slammed shut.
Despite an incredibly valiant effort down the stretch by Latrell Wrightsell Jr., who hit some brilliant shots and got his total up to 16 points, it was just too little, too late.
Yeah.
Every time Alabama would cut the deficit to single digits, Georgia would respond. And they didn't just respond, they became absolutely lethal from beyond the arc. Late in the game, Georgia hit 6 of their last 7 shots from three-point range.
When a team is shooting like that in the closing minutes, a comeback is nearly mathematically impossible.
Right.
And Kanon Catchings, the unexpected hero of the first half, continued his dominance. He finished the night with a brand-new career high of 25 points, having made 5 three-pointers. He was the anchor Georgia needed to weather Alabama's late storm.
As the final seconds ticked away, the atmosphere in Stegeman Coliseum was just electric. The Georgia student section was ruthlessly chanting just like football as the Bulldogs secured the upset.
A brutal chant for Bama fans.
The score pushed past 97-88 in the final minute. And barring a miracle, Alabama's impressive 8-game win streak was snapped right there in Athens.
What's fascinating here is how perfectly this game followed the script of a classic trap game, right down to the final buzzer.
It really did.
Alabama's loss wasn't primarily about missing shots. They actually made 9 three-pointers and shot relatively well when they weren't turning the ball over.
Right. The shooting wasn't the core issue.
The loss was fundamentally about a structural breakdown in mental focus. The 0 second-chance points in the first half, the careless breakaway turnovers, the defensive lapses on a career-night shooter.
All the effort plays.
Exactly. And these were all things predicted by their head coach days in advance.
Oh.
It was compounded by Kamirines having the game of his life and finalized by that chaotic, momentum-killing arena malfunction.
It really makes you think about how we handle our own mental focus. I want to connect this directly back to you listening. It makes you think about your own trap games, doesn't it? Like you finish a massive project at work, you get the promotion, you're riding high on that adrenaline.
And then you completely drop the ball on a basic routine email the very next day.
Yes. Because your brain has essentially clocked out.
Exactly. The fundamentals suddenly feel incredibly boring. It's a universal human vulnerability.
It really is.
We all struggle to maintain intensity for the unglamorous tasks sandwiched between our biggest victories and our most anticipated challenges. And the environment will not always be perfectly suited to help you recover when you lose that focus.
Definitely not.
Sometimes you are going to be tired, the crowd is going to be against you, and the systems you rely on might just break down completely.
Which brings us to the end of today's analysis. So what does this all mean?
The big question.
We've looked at the trap, the poor execution, and the environmental chaos. But I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over long after this deep dive ends. Consider the bizarre moment when the shot clock died. When a team or an individual is trying to mount a frantic comeback from a deficit of their own making, and an external, completely uncontrollable factor occurs like a 7-minute technical delay, what does that actually do to human resilience?
That's fascinating.
Does an external disruption like a broken clock provide a convenient built-in excuse for failure? Or is having to play without the normal rules and rhythms the ultimate test of a team's true character?
It is a profound question about ownership versus circumstance. When the lights go out, the clock stops, and the routine is shattered, who do you become when the game finally restarts?
Something to think about the next time you face a trap game of your own. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.